occipital lobe. Okay? You got to know gyrus is the lump, sulcus is the valley. Gyrus, sulcus. Let me just teach you a clinical point. Now, why do we learn this? When you're doing a CT scan, you make slices in the brain, and you see gyrus, sulcus, okay? This is a schematic. And then you have the central ventricles, okay? That's kind of normal. Then you go to somebody with Alzheimer's, all right? And it starts to look more and more like that. And then the inside, relatively speaking, gets much, much bigger. This brain weighs a lot less than this brain. It's a lot dumber. This is what's called thinning of the gyrosulcal pattern. Okay. So if you read these reports and you know what gyrus and sulcus means, you get an idea. Dilatation of the ventricles. Just in general, this goes on a daily basis in every hospital, everywhere. So that's why some of these terms are really important, because if you don't know what a gyrus is or a sulcus, you are out of luck. This is the cerebellum. Cerebellum. This is the cerebrum. This is what makes us different from all the other animals. We have this. Tragically, it means malice aforethought. Picking up a stick with the express reason of belting your neighbor with it, but that's unfortunate. Baboons do that to a limited degree, but we have a corner on the market of aggression. Be that as it may. The functions, in general, again, this is really more for the lecture. The big frontal, of course, is personality, hate, depression to a degree. The point here is this is a very human side. Has anybody ever heard of a prefrontal lobotomy? Old man Kennedy had this done to one of his daughters, who was not in the Kennedy mode, and he never told his wife until after the fact. It was only done up in McGill in Canada. What they do, and this is still done ever so infrequently, and not, I don't think, in the United States, is essentially put a ice pick up, you lift the eyelid up and you go up this way, and you sweep it back and forth, dissecting the frontal lobe away from the rest of it. And then you kind of turn them not into a sociopathic, against society, can't stay in one place at one time, individual, but kind of an automaton, which is exactly what happened to her. She had been living in convents, and then she kept running away all the time. So this was bad for Kennedy karma. So they had this done. And, that was Kathleen. You never heard of her. The big thing back here, and they did my plane crash case that I had done back in the 70s, and it was called The Crash. It was on the Smithsonian Channel, every single bit of it. I wasn't in it, but some of the people I worked with were. And I had mentioned in lecture, I don't know if I did it here, the unique thing about the Eastern Airlines crash in December 72 in the Everglades is the pilot had a big honking tumor. It was like that, right back here, okay? Which is why he didn't see the altimeter, which is why the plane gradually went down. The descent alarm went off, which in those days was just a ding. But the guy at the station where that goes off, Repo, wasn't there. He had been sent down to look in the hellhole to see if the landing gear actually were down. And you can hear it on the cockpit tape. Now it's an air horn that would wake up a dead man, so that won't happen again. But because of this here, the occipital area is for vision, okay? And he had lost a whole side of his visual field. What's the cerebellum for? One word, coordination, okay? That's coordination. Modulates all this, tells you that you're thirsty, There are actually temperature receptor cells to tell you that your temperature's too high. Osmolarity receptors to tell you that you have too much salt in your system, so you have to drink. Thirst center, all of this stuff go for hypothalamus. The two cranial nerves that I'd like you to know about are number one, what's the function of that one?
Olfactory.
Olfactory, which is
Sense of smell.
smell, right. Right there, okay? It's unique in that it actually, you regrow neurons as part of it. It's the only place in the body where that happens. And just picture like my dog Duke, his big schnoz, why can he smell better? Because he's got a bigger olfactory area. There's more nerves there to receive the smell from whatever, wherever, okay? And remember we had the optic foramen in the back of the orbit? That's the ends of the optic nerve, cranial nerve 2. Cranial nerve 2. And we'll say more about that when we get to the eyeball back there. Interesting things. Post-traumatically, you can have a CSF leak. Where my thumb is. It's in there. That's the lateral ventral.
But in this